Hello, all my crafty people out there. This week we're going to do something a little different. We're not going to be upcycling per se. If you haven't been here before, my name is Stephanie and I upcycle clothing, generally thrifted items from my local stores, and I upcycle them into different clothing or sometimes accessories. However, in this particular video, we're going to do something kind of crafty. Just crafty. One of my subscribers said that she commented on my very windy video where I had a lot of trouble with my ceiling fan blowing my pattern, that she liked to put cork boards or cork board behind her sewing table or in her sewing room to contain flyaway pieces of paper, patterns, that kind of thing. And I thought it was a great idea. I do not have a large bulletin board available to me, but I found something that I picked up at IKEA back in Vegas years ago. And I picked them up for this exact reason, actually. I just never followed through. So I have these cork circles. I believe they probably could pass as trivets. I know cork's pretty good at heat absorption, but I have 6 of them, and I thought I would cover them with some fabric, coordinating fabric, and stick them on my wall to hold on to things like loose pattern pieces and swatches and whatever I needed. And I'm going to be doing them in black and white. So I have these 6 pieces of fabric that are black and white in some form or fashion, and there's 3 darker ones and 3 lighter ones. So I think we're going to cover these with this fabric, put them up on the wall, and have a great place to pin stuff up. So if you like that kind of content or you want to give us a try, follow along, like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will catch y'all at the table. Okay, I think I've got all my supplies. I've got one of my round corks, and I think these are about 7 inches in diameter. That's what these are. So I found a good old kitchen plate. Don't look at my pattern. These are old Del Champs plates, but they do the job. And I think this one is it's about 11 inches. And if you take this and plop it in the middle, this tells me I've got plenty around here for what I want to do. What I'm thinking is I want to cover each of the little cork pads, trivets, whatever, with fabric, but I want the fabric to come up over the edges, and I'm going to do a running stitch to tighten it up and keep it on. And the reason I'm going to do it that way as opposed to gluing or I guess any other option is that it's completely removable. It won't damage my cork, and I can change it out anytime I want. So if I get some really cool scrap fabric that I like, I can change out my cork board very easily. So all that being said, I have once again told y'all I picked out all these nice, beautiful black and white fabrics, and I have ironed just this section of each one large enough for me to cut out a plate, essentially. So I'm going to take my next piece of fabric. I'm going to use this black at the bottom. I'm going to use the dark ones first for some reason. I don't know why. It's just the way I'm thinking today. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to turn it over because, let's face it, this is an easier side to see on. So that's my ironed section right there. And waste not, want not. My grandmother always taught me to take full advantage of the piece of fabric this does not matter if I'm taking the selvage with it, because it's going to go roll over the back of the little cork piece. Now I'm using a washable marker. You do not have to do that. I don't have to do that. It just happens to be what I've got in hand, because this is not going to get washed. It's just going to get folded over the back of our little cork trivets. There we go. Now I'm going to cut this out. Don't look at my plate. Like I said, I've had those for ages. They're just what does the job. I'm going to cut this circle out, and then we're going to go over to the serger, and we're going to serge around the edge. That way it won't fray, but it'll be easy to stitch on. So let me fast forward through this. Don't want y'all tortured by this. Alright, I got all my circles cut out. Like I said, they're about 11 inches, which is going to more than cover these 7 inches of cork. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to serge around the edge of each one. That way they won't fray, and they'll be easy to do a gathering stitch around by hand to put them on the rings of cork. So, here we go. Okay, I've got all my circles serged. They're not pretty, but they're just serged. That way they don't ravel. And I've just got one of my black ones here, or the ones that are black background more so than anything. And I'm putting my little cork piece in the center as best I can. Kind of eyeball it. And of course, as I'm sewing it, I can adjust it. I'm using this really heavy thread. I think it's for buttons and crafts. It's at least 2 or 3 times the thickness of a regular thread. Anyway, I'm just pulling out a good amount because I'm going to double it. And I'm going to thread my needle, double it, knot it, and I'm going to just sew a zigzag stitch, you know, a back and forth, like a, not a zigzag, kind of like a basting stitch or a gathering stitch, I guess, either one you could call it, around the edge of the circle. And I'm going to pull it tight to gather it. And that way, like I said, I can just clip this stitch and not only salvage the fabric, but I could also salvage the little cork board and be able to put new piece of fabric on it. So I like to start where my serge ended, and I'm just going to run a stitch under here, and when I pull it through, I'm going to put my needle through the knotted end of the thread just to secure it. And then all I'm doing, if I get it turned right, and I'll show you, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a stitch. They'll probably be a 1/4 inch apart. Just a running stitch back and forth. Oh, sorry, not sure if you can see that. Back and forth, about a 1/4 inch apart, like that. Can you see that? And when you pull it, it'll be nice and gathered like that. So all I'm doing, I'm trying to show you one more time, is I'm just pushing my thread in and out about a 1/4 inch away from each time I put the needle in and out. About a 1/4 inch. Back and forth. It doesn't have to be super neat. And then I just pull it. Like I said, this makes it gather. It would be the same if you were putting a gathering stitch on the sewing machine. And as I'm going around, when I get closer to the end, I start sizing up my little cork piece here and make sure that it's in the center of the gathers. So let me do that. I'll try to get a closer up view with the camera, and the only thing I'll have left to do is hang them, which oddly enough is the more complicated part. Okay, everybody, I got my cork boards done. You can see I added my bee onto the wall. I'll back up a little. You can see my closet door over there. So I think they turned out pretty cute. I went ahead and put some push pins in them, some colorful push pins in them. And those are going to help me hold on to some patterns and fabric and whatever else I need. Thanks for the great idea. I'll catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.